News that broke yesterday, just after PFT Live ended, the Chiefs making a move on their offensive line, not to improve it. Rewind to 2021 after they lose in the Super Bowl to the Buccaneers. Their offensive line overwhelmed by the Tampa Bay pass rushers. First order of business, improve the offensive line. In comes Joe Thuney. 4 years later, lose the Super Bowl. Offensive line overwhelmed by the Philadelphia pass rush. First order of business, get rid of Joe Thuney.
I know, seriously. It is amazing. I mean, that was shocking. I was in the middle of doing my podcast yesterday when that broke, and I just was, wow. I mean, it really is. Now, I mean, I think at some level you could think about it a little bit in the fact of, hey, Trey Smith, right? They just franchised him. They want to get a long-term deal done there. They probably looked at it and said, wait, logically, we can't have like 40% of our cap go to our center, our right guard, and our left guard. And within that, right, they have some maybe pieces that they feel like can move down to guard and replace Thuney. And now I would think they're going to try or get involved, or I don't know what the next move is here, try to get a left tackle. I would think that's the issue. To me, the two things that went was, wow, they're trading Joe Thuney, who's definitely one of the best guards and certainly one of the best pass protecting guards in the NFL. And then I went, wow, what are the Chiefs planning? Those are the first two things that came to my mind, because I don't think you're doing this move and making this type of move unless also you're thinking another step ahead here to add to the line or maybe add to somewhere else on the football team to free up some of that money that Thuney was commanding.
And look, I don't mean this as a slight against the Chiefs, because every team does it. It's just another example of how thankless professional football can be for the players. Because Thuney last year, when the Chiefs needed him, kicked out to left tackle, spent many games at left tackle, not his natural position and not the position he's paid for. He's being paid as a guard to play a more valuable position to the team. So the season ends, instead of giving him a raise for playing left tackle, he gets traded. Now, the good news is he is most likely going to get every penny he was due to make this year.
Yeah.
He's been around for a while. He's mid-30s or kind of in that early mid-30s, I guess. 33, I think, is how old he is. And we hadn't been thinking that the end may be coming for Joe Thuney in Kansas City, but the Chiefs ready to move on, reallocate the resources, and otherwise rebuild the offensive line. And you're right, they may be in play for Ronnie Stanley.
Exactly.
Left tackles, you usually only find a left tackle in the draft, and typically you find him in round one. The Jason Peters of the world are extremely rare. I think he was undrafted as a tight end and became a tackle in Buffalo.
Right.
That's rare. The great pass-blocking tackles declare themselves in college, and the bust rate is much lower. There have been busts, but for the most part, it's a lower rate than other positions. So that's the reliable spot to get a left tackle. They don't become available in free agency because their teams don't let them go. And this gets back to what we were saying yesterday. When a guy's available in free agency who has spent his entire career with the team, might be a red flag. Might be something to look at and say, do they know something we don't? And are we going to regret giving the guy the money? But the Chiefs are desperate, Chris.
They are. They're desperate. Ronnie Stanley, of course, was the first name that came to my mind, but he's been injured too, right? So I don't know. There's other things that always factor in my mind with the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid is kind of like an offensive line whisperer. So I'm like, well, maybe does he have somebody on the roster here that he thinks that they can fill in the void here and still make it happen, right? Kingsley Suamataia, who they had at left tackle for a good part of the year last year, I always thought he was a guard anyways. That's how I evaluated him last year in the draft. As he moved down to guard, and now are they comfortable with DJ Humphries at left tackle? And now does that money go to somewhere else on the football team and they make another move there? Either way, I give the Chiefs credit for staying ahead of the game here. And also, I think looking at it going, hey, we're good, but we're definitely not as good as the Eagles. Like, we have to improve our team. So, yeah, we might be able to get back into the Final Four, the Final Eight, maybe get to the Super Bowl, but we're not in the class of the Eagles, and we're going to have to make a few tweaks to the roster to get there. And I think maybe this is the start of it. So that's where I'm interested to see where this goes. But, yeah, as we know, and like you said, they had problems at left tackle. The only thing, and I say this every year, for guys in my position, offensive line is one of the hardest things to, wait, what is this team doing? Because you don't know sometimes how they value maybe a fourth-round pick who didn't get to play the year before. And Andy's been unbelievable at finding those guys and plugging them in, and you go, whoa, yeah, he's a pretty damn good player. Now I know why they didn't spend money last year in free agency at the offensive line position or whatever. So we'll see where that goes, but certainly gives them wiggle room to be aggressive and improve their football team going forward here.
9-year career for Ronnie Stanley in Baltimore, first-round pick out of Notre Dame. Last year was the first time he played every game of a season in that 9-year career. There had been injuries. Remember, he signed an extension, and it was like the next weekend he broke his ankle.
Yeah,
and
right.
I think he missed a long time after that. So I don't know. Maybe this was a long time coming, but he's going to be available, and the Chiefs could make a run for him. Other teams have been linked to Ronnie Stanley, and it makes sense because left tackles are hard to find. And he's still got gas in the tank, even though he's been playing for 9 years. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.